Hey, 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 welcome to the Scorpio channel. Got yelled at yesterday. Too much cleavage showing. like, so I'm trying to adjust myself, you know, trying to, maybe I can move the camera up. They said, it's very distracting. I said, well, I didn't mean it. For those of you that are new to the Scorpio channel, my name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message, but it's also a message for my winner. So again, we're magnets of who and what comes into our life. So when we're doing shadow readings, which are the type of readings that I do, we are looking not just at what the person's going to do. It's again, because a lot of times what they do, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't logically make sense. And then we are like, I also don't really understand why connected to this person to begin with, right? So it's there's a lot of imbalances or automatically in a soul connection. When I say soul connection, I'm talking about karmic connections, and all relationships are karmic because all relationships have the potential to teach you. Hello, Mose, and hello there. Like again, spectacular spec and indeed. Thank you for waiting. I was trying to get the dogs out, and then, of course, as I was going to go on, I started to have a sneezing attack. So I had to go into the other room and get a tissue. The excitement. So I'm feeling again, because there's never any mistakes of spirit. Remember this. Again, it's not a coincidence. There are no such thing as coincidences because there's no such thing as that everything's not in divine order. Everything's in divine order. We think that things are not in divine order. Thanks for coming on. And you know what? I'm going to try and be on more often. I have to say, I'm also on my healing journey. I have a little anxiety, I mean, before this, and that's again you wouldn't be on here if you weren't resonating with the messages. So whatever comes out of my mouth today, believe me, you're going to learn something, whether that's maybe you're not connected to a highly sensitive person, but maybe you're sensitive. And part of sensitivity means that you overthink, and overthinking gets you too emotional, and that changes your whole body chemistry. I know for me it does. I started sneezing, it's like it's not a coincidence when the energy shifts. Also, when the energy shifts and we have a block, what happens is we get stuck in freeze, or we get stuck in a cycle, a karmic cycle of, our actions and our responses. So anyone that's down here on the physical plane needs to heal. Understand that, that there's nobody that's more healed than others. Everything's perception. That's why, only God is all knowing, and God is the universe. And the universe, this energy is unconditional love, which is inside you, which is inside me. And it's our connection to each other. It's known as empathy and sensitivity. So when we're in alignment, we're at ease. And so when we're stressed out, we obviously are going against the energy flow of the universe. So a lot of healing is not just obviously the awareness, so the readings are always a little bit longer because to help you guys understand. Otherwise, you wouldn't understand. And so I want you guys to be interactive, but I might not answer all the questions until I get to the end of the stream because, sometimes it's hard to break that channel, especially if somebody has a lot of spiritual blocks, which a lot of times people do. You're dealing with people that haven't healed. So it works like a snowball. You get into another relationship, you acquire more baggage. You get into another relationship, you acquire. So until there's so much. Hey, Goob. There's so much energy that needs to be integrated and then transmuted. Just because you integrate the spiritual lesson, you have to actually embody the new consciousness. So you are your own healer. Just know that. I am just a conduit for spirit to speak. I just want you to know that. All right. So if you found that you are on this channel, I'm sure you're going to resonate, like I said. And understand, a lot of times if you're connected to a person that's really imbalanced, it's not that you're imbalanced. It's that they're bringing you medicine to help you heal. And that awareness is that healing is awareness, new awareness, because a person shouldn't be able to make you feel any way unless you have a spiritual block there. Now, you can have also a spiritual block that was there that you integrated, and the person is, you recognize what they're doing, but you're not reacting the same way. You don't have that emotional trigger, which is what you know when you're spiritually blocked. It's like, again, and if you're connected to someone that's spiritually blocked, you know that they have them because they project. They project everything that they see, everything that they hear is through the distorted perceptions of the wound. And again, the wound is how that made that me feel. So, anything that's on a lower consciousness that's not derived from unconditional love would be shameful, would be, again, guilt, like these lower energies. So just understand what you would need to integrate when you're in the connection with someone, because once you integrate it, well, you change the entire dynamic of the relationship. You integrate the spiritual lesson where it's almost like you do a 360 and you make that motherfucker's head spin around like Satan, because you turn into somebody else that the person never thought, never saw. And it's because you didn't know. And again, the person has actually awoken something within you. But people don't talk about that type of karma, where we talk about the karma that, like, that person did me wrong, and now, I feel like there's something wrong with me. Now I have anxiety. Now I don't trust. Now I don't. And that's an issue. It means that you've gone through the situation too many times. So now you're thinking that you're not the divine. The divine is inside. The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it, right? We're all David going up against Goliath. God says, please don't do my job, do your job. Be like childlike. And that's through your passions. So when a person comes into your life and you're overgiving and overdoing, what happens is that you wind up abandoning yourself. And a lot of times pain just comes from that. The karma is that you're not valuing yourself enough. So it's to understand that a lot of times that's what the story is just about. We undervalued ourselves. We didn't realize our own worth. I'm not saying that for this one. That's today's little tidbit. Spirit always says, give a little spiritual nutrition. All right. Greedy. Well, I do feel like, you're connected to someone that comes from a poverty state consciousness. So do they look like they're 100% greedy? No, but if we're coming from a place of lack, like we're not enough, we're not good enough, we don't have enough, which comes from rooted in shame, then what winds up happening is that we kind of put our energy into things that are more tangible. We also, don't trust people, so we have to put the energy towards, again, being grounded somewhere. So I feel like this person is seen as greedy, but I also feel like they do work a lot, but I believe it's because they don't really have a lot, or they had to work for everything that they had. So they are coming from more of a fear-based consciousness, because greedy obviously means I tend to only, think about money, or I think about only myself. And the reason why is because there's not enough. See, the thing is, that means that this person isn't coming from their true self, their higher self, and the higher self tells us that we are enough. So that we only, when we listen to people and then we live from that level of consciousness, which can happen if you grew up in an environment where a person made you perceive that you weren't shit unless you had enough money. Well, then, and that's more of the energy. It's not more of I'm a really greedy person. It's just this person will never really feel like they have enough. And the problem with that is when you get into a relationship with a person like this, they're going to be needy, and they're not going to want to share. They're going to be like, again, a little bit more one-sided. I just want to put that out there. Now, I usually pull just one more too. So again, you'll write the word greedy, but sometimes I like to just pull a second one to say, well, can we go a little deeper? That didn't tell us anything about person. Okay, so the pride, which is a bad combination. So I feel like you're in connection with someone that knows that they were wrong, that knows that they didn't give you time, but it's like, you're making me come back to you? Why can't you just reach out to me? And this, again, their part of it is their self-image. And the way that I actually feel this person, like literally like squeamish of I have to come back to you with my tail between my legs, where it's like, why does it have to be seen this way? This person has a problem with being vulnerable. They have a problem like making mistakes. Yeah, we all make mistakes. But this happens again, and we were brought up in an environment where we made mistakes, and there was big time punishment. So there's a sense of this person's prideful. So again, also showing that they don't really know who they are. A little bit of a facade. And that means that they're not giving you anything, like just for the record, because it's like, you're like all about yourself, and of course you're prideful, so you're holding back. So what the fuck am I with this energy? Would it probably make you feel? I'm just saying would be how I would feel. And it's like, because it's like you take it personally, and Spirit says that's again all about the healing that you all need. Drowning is again that this person is emotionally, I think, going down, like emotionally, because when you see the water, and that's what it feels like when you haven't really processed emotions that much. So I feel that this person, they take on a lot of responsibility. They take on a lot of, roles, I feel like. But none of those roles are emotionally giving back to this person. And the thing is, there was a connection between you and this person that even though you were never really in their life, you were always going to be there. You were always going to be there, is what I keep being told. And so this person is in a really uncomfortable position emotionally, which is like, you got them right where you want them. Because they have to do the work. They haven't done the work. They've been in bad relationships, which is why they focus too much on this. It's like that's what happens when a person begins to close off their heart. There's been many a businessman that does very well, but doesn't know how to emotionally give. Same thing for women. Doesn't matter. It creates intimacy issues, trust issues, where the person then is like, oh, it doesn't happen. It doesn't trust. But the thing is, they're realizing that you are a true person, that you're like no other person that they've met before. Almost like a highly sensitive person, but that's somebody that is emotional, someone that is true, someone that goes deep, where most people are full of shit. You meet them after like 2 days and it's like, baby, I love you. We're going to go run away to Texas together or wherever the fuck that you're from and like go to Tahiti and have 5.4 kids and a farm. Again, they blow smoke up your ass. And then it's like, none of it's true. It's a lie. And it's roll around in the hay. So I think that when you were talking to them a lot of times about deep shit, they weren't getting it, but now they're in a different place. And now they're reflecting back on all those conversations. And it's like you cut your energy off. So emotionally, I don't think that this person was ready to feel this. Like they don't have deep emotional feelings because they've learned to survive without. And then on top of it, it's like that. And then Sometimes they can see that you're like, again, fierce. Again, there's in the energy that this person actually needs to incorporate within themselves, because I feel like they're weak. They hide. They hide behind material. They hide behind work. They hide behind identity, but it's like in emotionally not then connecting to you. And that makes the person only be able to care about themselves. So we know that their behaviorisms are not going to be good, because they're only going to be coming from, I can have my cake and eat it too. And believe me, they're eating a lot of cake. It's like, but they don't want you to have that. So part of it is they love your fierceness and your strength, but they want to feel that almost towards them, because they want to first feel it. They don't will never really feel that anyone really loves them unless they are like that, which, by the way, if you're used to codependent relationships, that's what it would be. But you would also not like how your codependent relationships make you feel. It's like, meaning like you like the way that they feel emotionally because you're getting what you need all the time. However, I don't like having to be accountable for you. It's like, so I don't know, and because I am not an emotional person. So your job is to give it to me emotionally. And then I also get to get it from other people. And so it's this one-sided, like, because again, there's a part of them that's learned to not live from a part of themselves. Like, we need to integrate all parts of ourselves. That's detachment. That's disassociation, which is, I know what I've gone through in life, but I don't know like why I don't have a feeling one way or the other about it. It's almost like I'm watching somebody else. That's how this person feels, but this situation is not that. And I think it's like almost like this person is starting to have a nervous breakdown. Like, I feel like things with work, things with other things, not just you, because understand this person's going through a dark night of the soul. And a person that goes through a dark night of the soul, they're going to see things a little distorted too. Like, they're going to be scared by your energy. I turn this over and I see like childish. This is exactly how this person played it with you. It's, again, they played games because they cocky, almost like an really immature energy. Like, I need you to like chase me. Like, I need you to give to me. It's all about me, 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 me. And that's that energy. Yeah, and that's a draining. Oh, so draining. And that's really what the problem is. It's like they're living from a facade. And now it's like, well, now I'm not in your life because you're not going to come to my rescue. You always came to my rescue. I really thought that you were going to be there. And here it is. You're like, not. And it's like, now they're looking at their life and they're like, they have a long way to go before they find what they really, really want, but as they walk, they're like trying to grow. And part of that is because of the trauma that they've never healed. It's like any relationship is difficult. This person will have triggers and then self-sabotage the relationship. And it's not because they don't have feelings. What they see is they didn't even know that they had feelings for you, right? Which is part of the awakening process. But a person just doesn't heal automatically when there's childhood trauma. And that's really what it is. This person didn't know, oh, I have trauma. What happened is there's a lot of like a domino effect happens in the life when we go through a dark night of the soul. It means that we've learned to live, really unethically a lot of times, where we only think about ourselves. We're out of alignment with the universe. So the universe eventually says, you know what, fuck you. You dated this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, and there's karmic consequences. Again, all those other people, they're stupid for dealing with you, and they have to deal with their karma. But guess what? I'm coming in because I always collect my due. That's the universe. And it's like, we're not coming from a place of love. And what they're seeing is you're like not putting up with the shit. You're like, I don't know who the hell you thought I was. I don't know who that person was that you thought that I was, but that is not the person that I am, which is what this person needed to see, because the ego Most people would go along with this person again, to get like, I can make them fall in love with me. I can make them, where this person doesn't want that. And though, oh, they like that energy, like I said, but they don't want that. You wouldn't do that. And that is what set you apart. And but this person wouldn't be looking at all this unless the universe also came in and said, enough. Like, where it's like things are happening in this person's life. So they weren't just a jerk to you, they were a jerk to a lot of other people. So again, they feel you're distant. And it's like, well, now the tables have turned, because you were distant from me when I needed you. When I needed you around, you didn't think about me. You didn't care about me. And the spirit says, exactly. So you're getting your dues because you're standing your ground. But you're like, but then why does it feel like shit? And the spirit says, because you're alone. And again, but that's part you. That's part you. And that's really what it is. It's like, well, and the thing is, when you break a person's pattern, that what winds up happening is, it's like it really forces this person to have to look at themselves. People don't deal with that. That's why the universe said enough is enough. You're not looking at anything. So that's why you didn't feel it for a little while. But I feel like the universe has your back, because part of that is your healing. So you could see that you are healing. It's again, they're tempted. It's not that they're not tempted to call you. They're not tempted, but they're also like tempted in other ways too. And it's because they don't emotionally allow themselves to live their true self, their higher self, where you're going to be vulnerable, where you're going to like have those softer energies. And that's really what I see. I see that this person is like now in a place of, is that really what I want? Because they know you're not putting up with it. And because again, you stood your ground. They're like, I'm not going to go back into a relationship where you turn around and tell me to go fuck off. Remember, it's different because I kind of walked away from you. So even though I'm coming back, I'm still coming back with my tail between my legs, because I don't really want to be the one that comes back. But, again, we see a lot of strategizing is what I'm trying to get. So the person's still in their ego is what I'm trying to get at. So that's why you're like, I feel like they're not getting it. And it's like, they're getting it because the universe is making sure they get it. The universe is like, don't worry, hold my beer. It's like, this may take a little bit. Remember, this person racked up a lot of karma. They racked up a lot of karma. So it's like, there's a lot of people that are on this person's like shit list. So understand, that's why you don't feel it, because this person is so detached and disassociated from not healing. Because you say, well, how can they do that? Again, they're when a person is traumatized and they don't heal that wound, it's not like the wound just disappears. They create facades, they wear masks, they focus on other things. They lose themselves in their addictions. It's again, you're dealing with someone that needs healing. That's what it is. And so this isn't about love, because this person has feelings. That's why you're like, well, why did I feel what I feel? It's like, because love doesn't mean that. God says, I am love and I'm in everything. But again, there's a dust part of you, and the dust part of you is your ego. When you look in the mirror, this is who I perceive I am. This person doesn't like who they are. So we know that they couldn't have made your situation feel good. It's afraid of everything. And so what it is this person, the one thing that they have really going for them normally is sex. Like, I find myself attractive. Like, I can go out and be with someone. And so I feel like there was a sense of, well, because you emotionally don't give me anything, I don't really want to have any sex with you. Like, because you don't really And this person just feels like they put too much emphasis on that instead of the emotional connection, which it's not that that's not important, but that's important with the emotional connection. Otherwise, it's just sex, and then this person doesn't give a fuck how they treat people. That's what the issue is. So if you're not holding the person accountable and the person doesn't want to heal, well, it's again, you can see why. And this person's in their ego. It's like it's uncomfortable. Remember, we create walls when we don't heal. That's what happens. So the ego gets really big. It's like you're dealing with like where the universe is the only one that can come in and be like enough. Like that's why this person's cocky. I can have things my way, that like down deep inside, which is like you're like, okay, so are you insecure or are you cocky? And the answer is both. It's like they're insecure, so they overcompensate by being cocky to give the illusion that they're someone that they're not. And so in that, all this, strategizing, really, it's like you're not really giving me anything. So when you were dealing with this person, you're like, you act like you don't care. And that's what this person wanted. Remember, you were supposed to chase them. You didn't chase them. They wanted to see the narrative that they perceived. Again, they saw you as being someone that you're not, to be honest with you. And it was mainly because this is how most people treat me. And you didn't do that. Remember, that's why this person wouldn't look at anything. And that's why now that there's things that are actually also happening in this person's life that are falling apart, that's why they're looking, because you're not there to fix it. You're not there to comfort them and coddle them and tell them that everything's going to be okay. You're like, no, bitch, I'm over here drinking my lemonade, and eating my Twinkies, minding my own business. It's like, and that this person's annoyed because it's like it wasn't it. And you're like, well, the tables have turned. I felt I was the one that was forgotten about, and you knew how I felt and you just ignored it. Well, yeah, I do know how you feel, and guess what? I'm ignoring you. It's like, because we have an ESP connection, and that's what it is. There's a soul connection here. So nobody's talking, but everybody's saying it, and that's, that John Lennon song, no one's speaking, but everyone's talking. It's like, well, that's exactly what's happening. It's like, yeah, there's dialogue going on inside the ESP. Yeah, fuck you. No, fuck you, motherfucker. You thought that you were going to get me to do that for you? I don't know. Who do you think you are? I'm not that person. I'm not that person. Who do you think you are? You must really think that you're something. Like I hear the Carly Simon song in my head. You're so vain. I can't sing, so I won't, but it's almost like that energy there. It's like, what mirror do you look into? But that's what happens when like the ego gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, I think that the way that that's done with that energy, first of all, I'm doing a private reading for somebody. I mean, it's not really private because it's online, but it's for my winner. So unfortunately, that usually is the theme. I think that you're the one that needs to change the dynamic. And that's the whole point. In this story, what we see is Spectacular Spec is the winner, and that she actually did that. She's like, but understand she couldn't have done it alone. It's like part of her healing is to be able to see that it can be done, because too many times you've seen that it can't be done. So there's a sense of losing faith. So the universe also, like, again, there's always like everybody wins. Everyone wins. Everyone, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. Well, it's like that's the universe. It's like everyone wins. Even though this person isn't thinking that they're winning, in order to get better spiritually so that they can manifest better, they have to go through this process. Otherwise, again, that they'd just be going against spiritual law and be stuck in a karmic loop that goes into another karmic loop and a karmic loop and a karmic loop and a karmic loop. And so spirit's like, enough. Like, obviously, you're not fucking getting it. I have to step in. But again, when the universe does that, then you're in a dark night of the soul, and he's going to bring your phoenix to the ashes. It's time to blow yourself up, and we're going to start all over from ground zero. like that means that everything in the person's life is like they're losing financially. So they're being stripped of their self-image. They're being stripped. So it's again that shame is still coming up. So it is. It's exhausting to like watch it. That's why you can't watch it. You can't watch it. And that's the issue. You're like, there's part of you that's Indian, like, I'm tired. And you too, specular spec, and whoever else that resonates, where it's like, I love this person and I'm attached to this person and I just want them to get it. And spirit says, you grew up in an environment where you saw this, where you saw the person continually get in their own way. Understand that. That was a trauma of, I love this person. And they always get in their own way. They always fuck up. They just get in their own way. And that's a trauma. And that's that way. And if it wasn't this person, that was someone that you grew up with, it was if it wasn't a sibling, it wasn't a parent, then it was someone that was very close to you. So the trauma that you saw. But so again, the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. You got to create a new reality. Because if someone really loves you, they're going to find you. They're going to follow you. They're going to study you. Come on. When, people aren't healed and they haven't found themselves, then so they, what do? They find outside things to keep them entertained. And that's whether it's drugs, whether it's, sex, whether it's the compulsion, gambling, it's whatever it is that takes us away from ourselves, right? So again, this person's like stalker on fucking line. They don't got anything going on. Your entertainment. You gave them a show. I'm having a good old time. I'm having a good old time without you. That's right. It's like I'm going out. I'm looking good. And that's because the person's it's going to trigger their ego. It's going to trigger their ego. And also your choice of focus is your greatest tool to cut that psychic cord. Be like, oh, like you think that is going to be this way, do you? It's not going to be this way because this way is unfair. So you actually have the power, but you both have the same spiritual block, Indian spectacular spec, where it's like you give too much. Well, I feel bad, let me help. I feel bad, let me help. And it's like, no. It's like you can't. Right. And that's what it is. It's a healing journey. And it can be healed where both parties can heal it because there is a past life karmic connection. There's intense love. And there's a very strong ESP connection, and there are similar wounds, but you don't act on your wounds the same way that this person does. So it's very different, and to be in that aspect. So you have to understand, how is this person triggering me? It's like, instead of reacting, become the witness. Become the witness. And that's hard to do. It's like you have to train your nervous system. And if you grew up in trauma, which you both did, because again, what was going on a psychic level and an emotional level, then what you would have to do is you have to, again, get strong within yourselves. It's that you attract weak to you because you are weak. And that's weak where it's like, about knowing what your worth is, putting your energy more into yourself, because of the cycle is, I didn't get enough love. I didn't get enough emotional support. The trauma was that. And that's what keeps replaying in your life. And because the person can't do it for themselves. So that's why it's like, when are you going to figure it out? And it's to understand they don't know how to do that. you know. So I don't, just telling you, I'm glad that you resonate, because, you know, you'll take it as it's personal, and spirit says that's the point. Like, wake up, Alice. What's going on with you? And you're like, me, look at what this person's doing. They were supposed to show up for, and spirit is smacking you across the face and saying, what are we doing here? It's like, oh, and it's like, but I love this person. Spirit says, I know that you do. That's the whole point, where you need to do your job. It's like, I can't do it without you. It's like, it's again, because there is unconditional love. Because you're like, okay, so why is there this connection? But then there's all that shit. And the spirit says, because they need to heal. And so, and then you're like, so what do I have to do with that? And the spirit says, your own healing. And you're like, mine doesn't look like that. And the spirit says, well, bravo for you, but it still is out of alignment with me. And I don't care. There's only two energies, love and fear. It's still in the fear category. And you're like, well, mine doesn't look as bad. So there. And spirit says, you get the same fucking results. So it doesn't matter. It's like, and all because it's, again, apology. The person, like, again, can't really, again, what did I say? This how this shit started, right? That this person wouldn't come back and give you a simple apology. Like, I know it was wrong, but you should come back to me because of my pride, my ego. You should just make it look a certain way for me because it's my self-image. Well, let me tell you something. Whatever this person's self-image was before, it's not that way now. It's like, and that's why spirit said, oh no, whatever this shit is, it's like, it's not working for me. It's like flattened because this person's ego got so big and it was all about them. Which, understand, they would have never looked. I'm not saying that they would have never looked at you ever again, but they certainly would think, oh, I could find somebody better. Is, again, that's the mentality. I don't need to look at what I did. But you would obviously be like, look, what the fuck? You don't look at what you do? And they're like, no, I really don't. And the spirit says, no, they really don't. And that's why you can't take it personal, because it's like, this person came into the connection with all this shit when they met you. So you got the worst version of who they are. That's really what you got. And that's why it said, that's why spirit says, okay, we're going to do a phoenix. You're going to blow yourself up. You're going to set yourself on fire. And you will rise back again from the ashes. But you're going to blow this shit up. It's the end of the game for you. And the universe does do that when we've lived out of alignment. So again, this person stayed away because, again, of the criticism. This person, again, doesn't want to hear it, didn't want to hear it. So I didn't want to come back to the apology because I didn't want to have to relive what I did, how I was. I didn't really want to give that apology. I just wanted to pretend that it didn't happen. I also didn't really want to do what it takes to get you back either, because he gave me all that unconditional love without really having to work for it. And having to work for it, well, then that makes me feel even more insecure. So it's, again, I didn't want to feel those feelings that I always wind up feeling anyway, because this is always what I create, which is why I tended to not open myself up to love. So it's, again, this person's having to do a deep dive and see, again, finding their old habits, new habits. That's where it starts, really. So this person, obviously, I think, is trying to change some of their habits, because that's when spirit's like, okay, like, it's time to set yourself on fire now. Okay, now you're ashes. Now we're going to create better habits. What do you want your life to look like? because you can't go to this person and make it, your life still looks fucked up the way that it was, because you already know they're not going to take you back. So you have to actually go, the better version of yourself is what this person is knowing. So there is like a reason why you're in there for this person's healing. It's like, because you're like, well, why do I feel like I'm like stuck and I'm not getting any advantage here? Like it's not like we go out to dinner or anything, but the person's energy is attached to mine. I'm attached to them, and I'm emotionally not getting anything. And I just find that in spirit says, yeah, because this is not what's happening right now. It's like you're not in charge of how it looks either. It's like, well, I would have hoped that it would have looked a little bit better than this. I'm just saying, this kind of looks a lot like the way I grew up. I'm just saying. And spirit says, exactly, that's part of your healing. It's this person shouldn't have been able to make you feel that way. There was a connection. They awaken certain things. They wouldn't have been able to trigger you. Without that unconditional love that you have for this person, it wouldn't have affected you. It affected you because you were like, wait a minute, like this person's actually right. like, and who the hell are they? And that's why. So again, manipulation. And almost like emotionally not still letting anybody in. I feel like that's what this person's going to have to learn, how to let go of control issues. That happens when a person doesn't know who they are. Then they can't go with the flow of life. See, when we know who we are, we're in the passions of what we should be doing, the passions for life. Where do you lose your time, your energy, your focus, your money? What calls to you, what inspires you, what stirs up your soul is, again, where you're supposed to feed, because that's where the magic is. It's, again, as spiritual beings, if we're grounded and put the energy towards what we love, it grows. It takes a mustard seed. God makes that multiply. God is the universe. It conspires to bring you what you need. So the feeling of lack, feeling of like faith is grown, and it's grown because it's a walk, and it's a blind faith, because it's like you're doing it not because you're seeing results. It's because you have a desire. There's a passion. There's a love. It's how much love you put into anything. And spirit says, why is that person getting that much love? Why are they getting more than I'm getting? God's saying to you, the universe is saying, specular spec, Indy, why are you giving more love to that person? And you're like, because like I feel like I could help them. And spirit says, you can't help them. It's about learning what that would, again, if something doesn't feel good because you're always stressed out, you shouldn't, that already tells you love shouldn't hurt. Love shouldn't hurt. Love should be easy. And if it's not easy, then there's a sense of you having a lot of spiritual blocks. And so there's a little bit of detachment and disassociation from the trauma that you went through, of feeling, well, I can never get it. I can never get it. So you wind up having this runner chaser energy. Yeah, and that's really what it is. And forget it, indeed. Like if you actually have someone that you love, that you have feelings for, it's like, and you don't have any other passions, you don't have any other emotional connections, you can't set appropriate boundaries. So then you're not being respected. So, and that's really what you see. You see, like, it's not about being so soft and loving and gentle in the beginning and then have to turn into a tyrant, like, because that's what this person is used to. It's like everybody comes in and wants to fix and wants to help, but understand if you're like healthy and you're creating yourself, well, then the universe comes in again, and that person does what they need to do. If they really love you, they're going to step it up. They're going to evolve because they say, well, I like what this person's life looks like. I like the way that this person makes me feel. But if you're so busy like trying to save them and your life isn't all put together the way that they think that you're having the best life, well, then it doesn't, it's like you're a dime a dozen. It's the in their mind. And it's not to say that it's like you have to be more than like the connection. You have to be more than just the emotional connection, the spiritual connection. You have to be a full person yourself, because that's really what this is about. When we get a person that's like this, that's what we're saying, why is it so empty? It's like where it makes you feel very worn down. But and understand that being with a person like this, they're going to keep you down because they're not healed. So they're not going to be able to deal with the best version of you, because the best version of you will help you. You know, you're always attracting love and abundance into your life. And so there's a need and a desire and a want, and there should be a want to do that for yourself. You can be the catalyst for a person to heal because they learn, and they learn because you got away, because you did set boundaries, and then you showed them my life was is this, not what you perceived it was. You perceived that it was something that it is not. You were seeing through your own limited dysfunction and distorted perceptions, because this person's not in a good way on a financial level right now. So everything is very intimidating to this person. So this is why they also don't want you to see them in this state, why they've held back. You know, they wore many, many different masks, and people wear masks. I mean, and they don't, people, sometimes it's not conscious. It's like people learn to live from a certain perception, and in certain environments, we form, we tone down our behavior, right? So we're somebody that's overly talkative, or someone that is sensitive, and we'll walk into a room and the air conditioner is too cold or too whatever. We might not say anything if we were brought up in an environment that we always got yelled at. You know, if we always got yelled at, we would approach everything from a fear-based consciousness. And coming from this very limited consciousness, right? And that's really what it was. It was like, I think that when you have a low self esteem, people take advantage of you. So, the key here is to break that by saying, all right, well, listen, if they were attracted to me, it was obviously because they like what they look like, what I look like. So that's the hard part, right? If you weren't like, if there wasn't this intense attraction, so you have to say, well, now I have to step into the best version of myself, because that's what this person showed you, is that you weren't coming from the best version of yourself, that you had to create yourself, that you had to become yourself. And in that, you gave yourself more love. And in giving yourself more love, you attracted better people and situations into your life that made you actually cut the cord of, because when you move away from a person energetically, because more is shown to you and there's more options to you, like, I don't really want to go back to that energy. That energy is fucked up. It's like, it feels like, you're like, I don't want to go back, because it's a one-sided thing. It's like, because of your problems. Yes, okay, because of your problems. And I had those problems too, but I don't have those problems now. I'm not that person. It's like, and part of this person showed you, you have to create your life in order to move away from that energy and really suck that energy off. Otherwise, you'll keep on reliving those traumas, especially if you grew up with an alcoholic parent. I know I grew up with an alcoholic parent, and I also grew up with a mom that tried to kill me several times. So understand, psychic trauma, psychological trauma is whether that's the mind. The mind is all about, how we create our life, how we manifest, what we feel we are entitled to. So you were wired in a place of believing that you weren't loved. There's a real sense of, I know what that feels like. And you're also very highly sensitive. So it's like, that means you think a lot about it. So you have to recreate yourself when you're just attracting people that don't give you anything in return. And it's like where Spirit's saying you have to love yourself. You don't love yourself. And that's, again, that's a journey for a lot of ourselves because we've all gone through situations and experiences that have traumatized us. So again, I mean, that's a part of life. We don't talk about it in our society. We don't talk about spiritual health in our society. And that's why we have a spiritually sick society, that people can't agree without wanting to kill each other. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. I'm just saying, it's just not, I'm sure that, we can learn to have a conversation. No, because egos get involved. So there's a problem. There's a spiritual disease happening on the planet that people don't want to pretend that it's there. And how does it show up? Well, plays out in our relationships. It plays out within our finances. It plays out everywhere. And so again, and it makes you feel not good enough about yourself. And then you don't realize that you form habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment with that. So, Indy, do you know what those habits and behaviorisms are that are blocking you? Do you? Spectacular spec. I mean, part of that is that learning to integrate the spiritual lesson. So you stop living the karmic cycles of feeling I'm not lovable. I'm not successful. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. I don't, it's where it's again out of alignment. It's out of alignment. And it's again, and it's going to make you not love yourself. Where again, you can't not love yourself. That's like, you have to love yourself. That's the number one law. It's the number one spiritual law because you have that spirit inside of you. And so the spirit inside of you is supernatural. You're able to, if you can imagine it, you can create it. Come on. How does that happen? Well, the universe knows how they can get you there. It's like, no, no, believe me, I can't do that. And spirit says, believe me. It's again, I will conspire. It doesn't mean that you don't have to do your work. You are also part of that. But you get to see the divine work through you, work through your environment. But you need a focus. And the focus can't be on your traumas. And the focus a little bit too much is on your traumas. And I noticed that. And I also, yes, and the Catholic Church didn't really teach these things, but it's again the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. That's why I teach it, because it's not just a Christ consciousness, but it's also understand that we can depict what that looks like. What does it mean? I'm in alignment with the universe. What the fuck does that mean? And what it means is I am in alignment with the laws of the universe through my character, how I treat other people, how I treat myself. And so again, we're living in a more society that is turning fear-based by the day. There's everything is like, oh, this scare tactic. I'm gonna scare you. It's like, and that's no good. It's like, because when we do things from a fear-based consciousness, it's oh, we're not going to get long, we're not going to get results that last forever. Things that are built on love last forever, and so that's really what it is. And I know that you're a magical person. It's like, but pour more into yourself by becoming yourself, and to then be able to really transmute that pain into power. Otherwise, you never get free from the narcissist relationship, because the narcissist now is in your head, which is what makes it really difficult to be like, I can't forgive because, see, I'm fucked up now. You see? I can't hold a job. You see, relationships don't work out. Where really spirit's saying, like, but that happened a long time ago. We haven't had any process, man, in about 20, 30 years. That's still the programming. Why is that still the programming? It's like, wow, this is outdated. Almost like, why are you still walking around with an A-track when we're not even using the little uh AirPod anymore, whatever the fuck you called it. It was called it like iPod. I think iPod, but I have to drink. If I don't drink enough water, I get kidney stones. So I'm trying to drink as much water as I can, uh, because I noticed that my feet were swelling too. See, again, the bad behaviorism of mine is I can go days without drinking water. It's just a thing. I'm comfortable being dehydrated and not having to go to the bathroom. It's not healthy. I realize that. It's like, but old habits die hard. It's like a creature of habit. It's what you feel comfortable. Everything's survival. So to recondition, yeah, this isn't good. This isn't good. We have to drink water, especially since we're made up of water. But it's like, when I drink water, I have to go to the bathroom. But that was a thing. I wasn't allowed in the house. I mean, my trauma, again, being growing up in an environment of fear. Everything was fear based. That's why I know this work. I know this work because I lived it. It's like, I'm not just the hair club president, but I'm a member too. Like, remember that commercial where that guy, the bald guy, is like, he's bald and he's like, I'm not just the hair club president, I'm a member. Well, and then he takes that off his hat and he's like bald. 1970s commercial. I'm dating myself, but nevertheless, it's like that. It's like, I know because I lived it. So when you go through experiences, when you are so so cool, see, so it is like, when you go through experiences that are traumatizing, you form habits and behaviorisms that block you from being able to manifest. And you want to be able to manifest. It's really important. I just feel like this person, like, again, there's these contracts that need to be broken, in which, again, when we're talking about spiritual contracts, we're talking about ancestral. We're talking about the contracts that when you incarnated, that you agreed to meet this person, you agreed to, like, heal. And so that's why, until you actually integrate the spiritual lesson or change, you would always feel that you had a weird connection to this person. There would be a love there, because there is love. It's just the person is not healed. They have a lot of problems. And that's why I'm saying it's about integration. So, do I feel that this person's ever going to get it? I feel like they have a long way to go. And if you're doing what you need to do for yourself, you won't want to be there, and that you shouldn't want to be there. And that the best thing that you can do for this connection, because you're already saying, I don't get anything, is to say, well, why did I attract this person then? It's like, what the hell was I supposed to learn? Because it was hurtful. It's like, and why does love have to hurt? Why does it have to look like that for me? That's what you have to say. Otherwise, then there was no point to the connection, and you also just accumulate that energy and become a magnet to more of that energy. And you don't realize that you wind up adapting to that. We subconsciously do it. So again, belittled, again, growing up with a parent that's a narcissist will belittle you, will make you feel not good enough. Not, and both of you admitted that you had narcissist parents. So, and again, whoever else that resonates, it's that also. Like that's why readings, people can resonate with the spiritual themes, because it's like, oh, I needed to learn that. I needed to understand that. So understand that if it didn't feel safe, you didn't have secure. So what you were taught that love was not safe. So in that, you're like, well, I can't really trust myself. Where really, again, the wonder is that you are always an imaginative kid. You were always a gifted kid. You were always an empath. You always had a lot of love to give. And that you're supposed to, again, share that with the world. Be like childlike means go out and go find yourself. It's like you weren't allowed to do that. You weren't allowed. Thank you so much, Indy. I appreciate that. Um, that's what that means, that you have to be able to go out and create yourself, go out and find yourself, go out and love yourself. It's like to pour into yourself. It's like what the Spirit's saying, because it's like the wonder within you. It's like when you do that, you become the best version of you. You don't tolerate people that don't give you what you just don't deserve it. It's like, I'm not going to tolerate that. It's like, why would I go to a store and pay $15 for spaghetti? I wouldn't do that when I can go across the street and buy the whole thing for $2.99. It's like, don't treat me unfairly. Don't undervalue me. Don't act like you're doing me a favor. It's like, it's not about being arrogant. It's more about just creating yourself. And then the people that want to be in your life, you can tell by how much effort that they're putting. And that's really what Spirit is saying, is like part of going out and finding yourself is creating yourself. So it means dumping in time and energy into yourself, taking classes, interacting with friends, joining things, learning who you are today is what will help reprogram that subconscious mind. Yes, you had to learn how to, not take it personal. Jesus, to be around a person that makes you feel not good enough, not worthy, like all these things all the time, then you would wind up being like you were programmed to not love yourself. So understand, if you don't love yourself and you don't really realize that you don't love yourself, but what it is that you're not pouring into yourself, that life, the more love that we acquire, the more chi that we have, which means more energy that we have. This is the divine. The divine is the universe. It's able to flow through us, but it's through our level of consciousness. So why healing the effects of psychic trauma is so hugely important. And we're a society that doesn't talk about that. Thank you so much, Specular Specs. Really appreciate that. I just think that that's really what it is. If you don't love yourself, you have to love yourself. You have to, otherwise it's again, so we don't never are told what that looks like. So part of this is just reparenting yourself. And because again, you want to recreate the neurological pathways within your mind. Being brought up by a narcissist also would mean like healing your nervous system. Understand that. Like, yes, you're sensitive, but you don't want to have like a lot of allergies. You don't want to have, it means that we have to walk a line of balance. Really, it does, because then it manifests. It just does. Because it means your energy is all up in your head all the time. I know that because it's like spirit saying, you need to drink more water. You keep getting kidney stones and you don't care. Okay, I'm going to make your legs look like ham. It's like, fuck you. Like spirit says, I'm going to get my way. You're going to change. And it's not easy to recondition. It's not easy because survival was one time based on not drinking water for me because I was locked out of the house all day with no water. I wasn't allowed to use the bathroom. It's like my mother used to lock us out all day. Like she was inside the house and she was all up in her head and I don't know, always angry. She had so much trauma from my grandfather that it was almost like she was always replaying it. So and so you say, why didn't you go drinking water? It's like, go drink out of the hose. I don't know, I didn't think, I wasn't present. It's like I was traumatized. What happens is you get stuck in the fight, flight, freeze. I was stuck in freeze, which means I was dumb, stupid. That's what it really meant. I couldn't learn in school. It's like I was like so over sensitized. So again, healing is a process of reconditioning the nervous system. And that's through doing breath work, and that's through doing tapping, and that's through, again, reconditioning. You may be like, I don't want to do all that. And then spirit says, oh, you don't want to invest in yourself. Okay. But then you think you're going to attract somebody that won't. Understand, spirit always makes a way where there is no way just for you. So that's how faith is acquired. Otherwise, you don't have it. So you have to be present. You have to be feeding yourself to recreate yourself so that the path unfolds. Otherwise, you don't see it. And it's a faith walk, like I said. And so I feel like that's really what needs to happen at this time. Otherwise, you can't heal. You can't heal certain traumas because of disassociation. And disassociation means, yes, I know what happened, but I don't really feel what happened. Like, meaning I got through the situation, and I got through the situation, but I wasn't present during it. I was in survival mode. And so the energy is still there. Means that you just learned how to deal with the situation. So what's happening now is that you're attracting the same types of people into your life because you're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. And that's why you're like, why do I always get this energy? And spirit says you always get that energy because you haven't healed it. So again, that's what's also making you feel as if you can't have it. But it's not that you can't have it, it's that you won't feel it until you actually do it. You have to integrate, you have to embody it. And when you embody it, you transmute that negative energy because you're seeing a different version of yourself. And you're seeing yourself stronger actually because of it. You're seeing that you have more empathy because of it, but you're now just more balanced, where you're like, I know how to set boundaries. So it doesn't mean that you have to be like, I don't want to date you ever again. It's more like, I can forgive and not take it personally. I can be kind. I could also respect myself more and do what I need to do for myself. And that's really what it is. It's like making you a better person so that you can attract better people into your life, and not because you recognized it. And sometimes people will be like, if they really like you, they'll be like, no, 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 that's not what I meant. When a lot of times you'd be like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, it's like, and they're like, no, 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 that's not really what I meant. If a person really likes you, but how you make sure a person really likes you is you have to put effort. They have to put effort into you. It's not about talking. It's like you see too many people like being like connected to people that just talk. It's like it's bullshit, and really, it's they have to put effort in, but they don't know unless you're doing it. A lot of times they don't know how to do it. Number one, or they're not held accountable to have to do it. So it's you recognize it because again of what a person's giving, how consistent. Otherwise, you have no balance. You're too close up to the picture because emotionally. And that's because that's what you guys didn't get emotionally. And so they're holding that energy there. And that's why the transmutation process is really important. That's why the integration process of actually learning the spiritual lesson, obviously, we have to, because then we just acquired that energy and that will come out and like, like a lack of money. It will like just not good experiences. And that's why you have to do it for yourself. And it's a lot of times it's not about the person just coming into your life saying, I want to like crap all over you. It's like that they're like, this is how I know how to live my life. It's like where you're like, what the hell is that? And they're like, my life looks is fucked up. And it's like, but it doesn't mean that they don't care. It's the fact that that's what they've lived. They don't see how they sabotage themselves. And I feel like sometimes it's about being the example. In all honesty, I was hoping a few weeks back that we get back together, but now I don't because I know what I deserve. And yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, but you have to pour into yourself because when you do emotionally, when they do come back, because they always come back. It's like like it's always when you don't want them anymore. That's when you're like, why are you here now? You know what I mean? I wouldn't did anything for you. And it's like now forget about it. It's like where it's because this person has to live that self sabotage, and you're like, so why are you giving it to me? And spirit says, oh, is that a little trigger for you? Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm not desirable. And then the spirit was it just says, well, no one should be able to make you feel that way again. So it's all back on you, sucker. It's like you need to put the energy back into yourself. And it's like, because it means you're not loving enough on yourself. It's like, because I know what I need. And the spirit says, I know what I need. So I will direct you also through your emotions sometimes. You'll know because it'll be a knowing. It'll be a claircognizance that is, I know, but I also feel that way too. Like it's like because claircognizance and clairsentience work together, and both of you would have those spiritual gifts. You would have that growing up with a narcissist because I grew up with a narcissist, and it means that you have to have eyes in the back of your head, and that means that I have a knowing, but you also means that you're like would get in your own way a lot of times in relationships because emotionally, and that's why you would have to do that. Yeah, like you wanna live right, and that's what it is. It's all about you recreating your life. But I think it's more about becoming it and doing really what you love so that you can attract the people that, love you. And then you're able to then make good judgments about people because they've shown you who they are. It's like I think when people are moved into relationships so fast, and it's because emotionally they're not getting what they need, but they have to live their life a lot shut off. Like, oh, I have to work, I have to take care of the dog, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that, I'm worried about getting older, I'm worried about, it takes us away from the creative mind. And so it's hard to, just to meditation. We have to say, what can really help us stay present to create? And it's really through the act of creation. and pouring into self. And what it is a lot of times we don't, and we look for that answer outside ourselves. So that's why I'm saying, I think that is, again, the universe is always guiding us, but it's mostly about where are you deciding to put your time, what you dump your time and your energy, and love yourself. Like how India is saying, I'm like to start to do like my Zumba is finally open for business. I have a new nursing job, and and I'm going to start a new like meditation, like again practice. And that's the number one that you should have, by the way, because you have to say, what are you healing? And when people say the first chakra, what does that mean? And it means it's who you perceive that you are. And so you're recreating, you're breaking ancestral line. So it's lonely, because it's like, well, it's lonely, you know? It's like, and Spirit says yes, but then it's also like this unfoldment process where of becoming yourself. And it's to make sure that you create a daily practice to also help recondition your nervous system. I would recommend like things like Tai Chi, like or I just Zumba, but like things to help you just, tap into your creativity. A lot of times we feel like we need to like also spend every waking moment doing something. And sometimes you're just taking time to like do nothing. I think, yeah, working with some sort of energy is really good. I mean, Zumba is really good, but and that's really a great exercise workout. But I feel like, and meditation, yeah, but I feel like different forms of meditation, different energy work is something that is helpful. Well, I feel like it's again salt. Again, like a lot of times, if we're not really feeling satisfied, it's like I want some salt, I want some sugar, I want some, right. So again, that's your go-to. That's your go-to comfort food. And that'll happen too. Like again, like you'll say, well, I'll want those things like too when I'm not giving myself certain other things. It's to overcompensate. So it's also to recognize like these things with inside of you. Right. It's like it's self-soothing. It's like I want to feel good. And listen, it's like shit. It's like I love the fried chicken. I love it all. Like I like the Publix. I love it all. Like, but because I crave the salt, I crave the sugar, and it's not feeling safe. Understand, from living in fight, flight, freeze, what it does to the nervous system. And so we take a lot of energy. We take a lot of energy. And so if we're not continually taking care of ourselves, and we were not taught to take care of ourselves too, well, you're going to have meditation and you're going to open up with a green salad. It wasn't like that growing up. It was like getting a box of cereal, maybe some toast if you're lucky. It's like, and then you were out the door. It was like, it was a different way. We didn't take care of ourselves. We weren't taught to take care of ourselves. We were, like people ate blimpies, they smoked, they drank, they smoked everywhere. They smoked on the train, they smoked on the plane. It didn't matter. It's like, um, so we're a society that's being taught is becoming more refined to be like, well, it's the body and the mind work together. So integrating. I'm so glad that you were here for your reading and that you resonated with it. I hope that you'll join me back in Indy too. And that's, like I said, I think that the key is to realize that we live in a society that is all about learning to heal. and to become the best versions of ourselves. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you guys too. And thank you. Thank you for your donations. I really appreciate them. And I'm going to try and be on more often, but I'm on my healing journey too. It's like it's not that easy to get the confidence to come on. And then it's like, oh, I have to like, I was a little, like I said, I wore like a loose shirt yesterday, Cass, and I showed too much cleavage, and somebody yelled at me. So I was like, I said, I got to pay attention today. Sometimes, I don't even want to think about, again, what I look like. And I know that that sounds crazy, but it's like we get caught up in our mind, and I'm still adjusting to the death of my husband, and it's a process. It's like it's you got to show up for yourself, right? It's like you gotta, but healing is a process, and grief is definitely a process. It's a roller coaster that you don't want to be on, especially if you were detached. It's like I was. Again, psychic ability many times comes from trauma. It just opens them up, it activates them because you were taught to become more sensitive, detached. So thank you. It is a long process, but I think that it's not like you don't have to wait to the end of the road, to see the results, and that's what I'm trying to get at. It's an unfoldment process where we heal every single day, depending on how much energy and love we're putting into whatever we're doing. And I love you guys, and I love it here on YouTube. I mean, it makes it easy, especially with my two dogs. I kept saying, how am I going to take care of my two dogs, God? I kept saying, how am they only had one dog, but I said, what am I going to do about it? I said, kept asking, kept asking, kept asking. I said, oh, because I thought I was going to be working somewhere, but then the lady wound up being crazy, and if she would have been fraudulent. But that's the story all, all in itself. But benefits came from it. I learned what real healers do. They travel, they create their own system. So I created my own system, so it was beneficial things. But I thought I was there for, like, I was like, I was going to buy the place. And because the lady said she was going to sell it, but then the lady was like crazy. She was like, put cameras everywhere. And it was just like, so I was redirected. And it was just right in time before my husband passed away. And so like he wound up like passing away, but he had cancer. So I took care of him. He was in hospice, but I was always worried about my dog. I said, oh, that was his dog, what is he going to do? And then I wound up getting a puppy like a few days before my husband dies, right? It's like, because my son comes down, and it was like God knew. It was like the universe said, you're going to work on YouTube. You're going to, again, heal yourself, and you'll take care of the dogs like at home by yourself. I said, well, look at that. Look at how that just happened, and Spirit says, again, you asked. It's an unfoldment process. You're always supported. But the thing is, you have to have faith. You have to have faith. And that's really hard to do. All right. I'm going to leave that there for you guys. I love you guys. And I'll talk to you soon. Otherwise, I talk to you all day. Go grab your coffee, and we'll have I'm lonely. My husband's not here anymore, and the dogs don't talk back. So, all right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.